23rd November, Day to End Impunity. Due to the appeal from IFEX, International Freedom of Expression Exchange, an event took place at Istanbul Bilgi University, organized by the Initiative for Freedom of Expression Turkey in cooperation with Human Rights Research Center of the university. After the keynote speeches by Annie Game from IFEX, Emma Sinclair Webb from Human Rights Watch, and Professor Turgut Tarhanlı, Dean of Law Faculty, beside the panel discussions on legal, sociologic, and mediatic aspects of impunity, witnesses took place and testified on their cases. Baran Tursun was killed on 25 November 2007 after being shot in the head by a policeman while passing the police checkpoint in his car. Police officers claimed that he disobeyed their warning to stop, so they opened fire in the air. As it came afterwards, police warned Tursun by flashing headlights from 185 meters distance, and this was reported by court as police warned Baran Tursun to stop. Policemen made it look like a traffic accident and did not inform the prosecutor. Following the CT scan in the hospital, a bullet was found in his skull, which reformed the investigation. Yet, since a prosecutor was not present at the crime scene, preliminary investigation was not conducted. Tursun died on 30 November. In the course of inquiry, it came out that the policemen manipulated the facts many times by obfuscating the evidences, perjuring or fabricating documents to make it look like a traffic accident. Finally, it was proved by an official report that Tursun died after being shot by a policeman who aimed at him standing with his arms linear and parallel to the ground. The legal proceedings also witnessed infraction of rules many times. Tursun's family objected these irregularities and consequently charged with accusations such as influencing the court, overtly insulting judicial bodies, soldiers and police. Court finally sentenced the police killed Tursun to 2 years imprisonment. Tursun's family appealed to European Court of Human Rights. European Court of Human Rights and the United Nations did not report the incident as an isolated event. UN reported declared that Tursun was killed in his vehicle moving after being shot by a policeman.
Bize şunu dediler, Baran trafik kazası yaptı. Çok uğraştık, elimize gelen her şeyi yaptık ama maalesef dediler. Tabii biz Baran babası olarak oğlumuz için eline gelen her şeyi yapan bu katile bir de teşekkür ettik. Yani Türkiye'de ilk sefer kendi oğlunun katiline teşekkür eden bir babayım.
Tursun family did not give up. They carried the case to European Human Rights Court and established a foundation on Baran's name to struggle against impunity and support victims. On 13 June 1993, PKK raided a military unit near Gürümlü village of Silopi, and 6 soldiers lost their lives. The next day, a troop raided the village, took 6 villagers away. The families have not heard from them since then. Witness Mevlüde Cülas said that she heard gunshots at the night. The next day, soldiers raided the village and took her husband, Şemdin Cülas and Abdurrahman Kayek, away and burned their houses. Kayek, writing a letter to his lawyer, claimed that the soldiers brought them to the troop, where he saw some of other villagers. Soldiers told them to run away, yet, since they knew it was a trap, they did not do so, but after were battered badly. Şırnak Brigade Commander General Mete Sayar let us slip out during an interview. Nearly 2 months ago, an imam was killed during the incident. A cross was found on his neck, and he was reported uncircumcised. We realized that the man we knew as an imam was actually Armenian. Upon that, Mush MP Muzaffer Demir presented a parliamentary question. The legal proceeding regarding 6 missing villagers was commenced in 2013 by Public Prosecutor of Diyarbakır. Within the bill of indictment, 5 soldiers and General Metisaya was charged with plural murdering. The first hearing, scheduled to 5 November 2013 in Şırnak, could not be conducted as the court demanded the case to be transferred by reason of life safety of 2 respondents. Public Prosecutor of Diyarbakır wrote an opinion letter to Ministry of Justice and said the hearing in Şırnak does not constitute any risk in terms of public safety. Yet, the Minister of Justice Sadullah Ergin demanded the case to be transferred somewhere else, and it was transferred to Ankara High Criminal Court.
Sabaha doğru askerler işte köye girdiler, her evdekileri dışarı çıkarıp arama yaptıktan sonra biraz aydınlık olunca herkesi köy meydanı gibi bir yer vardı, herkesi topladılar. Köyün imamıydı. 2 tane de gayrimüslim arkadaş vardı işte. O köyde yapılan aramalarda o gayrimüslimlerin evlerinden alınan haç ve İncil'i imamın cebine koydular. Meydanda bütün köylülere ağza alınmayacak şekilde küfürler edip işte bunca senedir bir Ermeninin peşinde namaz kılıyorsunuz dinsizler. Namaza, Allah'a, herkese küfür ede ve köylüleri döve döve askeriye, köyün yanındaki askeriye doğru götürdüler. Bir daha da haber alınmadı.
Ali İsmail Korkmaz died after being battered by undercover policemen in the street of Eskişehir during Gezi Park demonstrations. Governor of Eskişehir Azim Tuna''s first comment on the incident was, "Demonstrators must have had a quarrel in between." During the investigation, it came out that footages from the 3 CCTV cameras in the street got lost. Jandarma Criminal Department's examinations revealed that footages of 1 camera of the bakery were deleted twice, yet they were recovered. It showed that Korkmaz was beaten up with sticks and kicked by a bakery's owner and his friends and police officer Mevlüt Saldoğan. 5 were charged with willful homicide. Respondent Muhammed Vatansever stated that he wanted to help the police. Policeman Saldoğan alleged that Korkmaz had thrown stones and confessed the last kick was his. Korkmaz's family alleged there was another policeman in the scene, and he was Y.A., who was released after giving a statement. Eskişehir High Criminal Court No. 2 asked Eskişehir Governor's opinion regarding transferring the case to another city for security reasons, and Governor found it favorable. However, the governor, getting mad at journalist Ismail Saymaz, who reported it for Radikal Daily, and sent an email to him. "Ismail, my son, you're at it again. The offenders have been found, arrested, and are being judged. I guess you're not pleased with this. Just when you're out of material, the court asks a question, and we write our opinion in order to prevent incidents from happening in this city, where hundreds of thousands of people live, for the well-being of public order. This information must have been serviced to you by our partisan attorneys at that moment. Even the punishment of suspect with life sentence wouldn't please you. If you discuss this subject by interpreting it again, you're vile and inglorious. Don't forget, there is the life to come. We will see each other there sooner or later." On 10 October, Korkmaz family appealed to European Court of Human Rights. Governor Tuna's email was added to this file. It was also remarked that civilian gangs were not included in the bill of indictment. No permission was given for an investigation about doctors. The other 6 policemen in the scene that night were not given a hard time. Their superiors did not give statements and legal expert deleted the footages.
Ali İsmail Korkmaz Eskişehir'de polisin yine bir şiddeti sonrasında, yoğun gaz saldırısı sonrasında bir ara sokağa kaçtı. O sokakta yaklaşık 40 civarında polis beklemekteydi. Hepsi sivildiler. Ellerinde coplar vardı, gaz maskeleri vardı ve yanlarında esnaftan devşirdikleri sivil saldırganlar vardı ve onların elinde de değişik uzunluklarda sopalar vardı ve meşe odunları vardı ve beraber saat 11'den itibaren orada beklemekteydiler ve onların orada beklemesine onay veren, o emri veren amir hala bulunabilmiş değil. Ne emri verildiği hala belirlenebilmiş değil. Dosyaya göre sağa sola gidip gelin şeklinde bir emir verildiği söyleniyor. O gün orada bir fırının önünde beklediler. Ali İsmail'den önce o sokağa giren hemen hemen herkesi dövdüler. O sokak çevresindeki herkesi dövdüler.
No investigation for public officers in Eskişehir. Governor keeps his chair. Who is responsible for impunity in this case? Füsun Erdoğan is a prisoner at Gebze Women Prison. She is married and has a son. She has dual citizenship, Turkish and Dutch. She has been a journalist since 1989 when she was back to Turkey until 2006, the year she got jailed. She is the founder and manager of Özgür Radio. On 8 September 1996, she got kidnapped by a civilian car in broad daylight in Izmir and taken to a house where were other people, all forced to lie on ground facing down. Then she was again put in a car and taken to the police station in Nazilli. The other day, she was brought to Istanbul. After staying in police custody for 4 days, she was sent to the court, where told prosecutor that she did not know what she was charged with, so that she would not plead. She got arrested that day. Her file was added a notation of confidentiality in accordance with anti-terror law. Therefore, her lawyer could not reach it. She stayed in jail for 13 months and 18 days, unaware of what charges pressed against her. And she could not defend herself until the third hearing in 2008, since police reports were not completed. To her surprise, she learned that she was a senior manager of an illegal organization, and she allegedly was responsible for the financial issues. The moment they had all been forced to lay on the ground in that house allegedly was a raid during the organization meeting. There was no evidence. She was kidnapped and brought to that house to fabricate evidence by getting footage. On 5 November 2013, Istanbul High Criminal Court No. 10 sentenced Füsun Erdoğan to life imprisonment.
Polis diyor ki biz Füsun'u bir Nazilli Ocaklı köyünde bir evde yanında 5 kişiyle birlikte MLKP'nin 4. kongresini yaparken yakaladık. Ve yakaladığımız yerde yaptığımız aramalarda da bir takım örgütsel dokümanlar, özellikle 2 tanesi Füsun tarafından hazırlanmış örgütsel doküman yakaladık diyor. Ve bu nedenle de zaten Füsun'a ömür boyu hapis cezası ve 750 yıl civarında da artı ilave ceza verildi. Bana diyorlar ki ya benim edindiğim mesaj şu, bizden korkun. Bizden korkun. Biz istediğimize uygun örgüt çantamızda, heybemizde hazır. Size örgüt bulmakta zorlanmayız ve delile de ihtiyacımız yok. Ben korktum. Saklanmalı mıyız? Hayır. Saklanmayı düşünmüyorum. Kaçmayı da düşünmüyorum. Ama gerçekten korktum. Siz de korkun.
A very interesting dilemma. The police of the state organizes the congress of an organization defined as illegal by the same state. A Turkish proverb. They salt the meat, not to decay. What if the salt decays? Since 2009, 36 trans women have been killed in Turkey. In the last 20 days, 8 have been exposed to violence. 8 trans women claimed they were threatened and battered by the men wandering around Şişli district with sticks in hand. On 4 September 2013, a group of men verbally abused 2 of them, then tore up their clothes and battered them. The women took shelter in the pharmacy and one was detained. Allegedly, district's new security director instructed the ongoing attacks happened in the last 20 days. LGBT organizations claim that undercover policemen conduct the abuses against trans women who live and work in Şişli district. Trans individuals protested the attacks they have been subjected and remarked their right to work. Abuses continue, so does the impunity.
Evet, korkuyoruz gerçekten. Ben de korkuyorum. Geçen günlerde, bir ay öncesindekine Didem denen bir arkadaş, seks işçiliği yapan bir arkadaş, 2 müşterisinin arabasına biniyor, anlaşıyorlar. Sonra adamlar bunu Kasımpaşa'da bir yere getiriyorlar. Didem'in boğazını kesiyorlar, bütün çantasındaki parayı alıyorlar, telefonunu gasp ediyorlar ve ona 10 lira da taksi parası veriyorlar hastaneye gitmesi için. Akşam olunca saldırganlardan bir tanesi yakalanıyor. Sabah savcılığa çıkıyor ve savcı saldırganı serbest bırakıyor. Halbuki arkadaşımın 1 santim daha derine gittiğinde bıçak şu anda ölmüş olacaktı. Didem bu olaya benim 2. yaşamım diyor. Evet, korkuyoruz.
Not only them, we all must fear. If the system in charge of protecting us works so arbitrary, it is not difficult to imagine that the same thing may happen to any of us, anywhere, anytime. In 2002, a devastating incident in Mardin sparkled huge reaction. A juvenile at 13, NC, was forced by 2 women to have sexual intercourse with men for money, and 24 men, some of them were public servants such as Muhtar, governorship's chief clerk, and gendarme commander, had intercourse with her. Upon the complaint of the juvenile, the legal proceedings were started and finalized after 10 years with the minimum punishment for each suspect. The bill of indictment included 2 charges, rape and retention. The court accepted that NC had intercourse with the men of her own free will, and by this means the punishment threshold decreased to 5 years. As a result of changes in period of limitations and good conduct abatements, the punishment of 24 suspects decreased to 4 years 2 months. Women suspects did not get good conduct abatement on the ground that they were leading a virtueless life, and they were sentenced to 13 years and 6 months imprisonment. After the Court of Appeal partly reversing the decision, the case reopened. Yet the Court of Appeal accepted the fact victim had intercourse with 24 men of her own free will too.
Aslında hakim bence doğru söylüyor. Kararımız yanlış değil diyor. Çünkü Türkiye'de yazılı hukuk böyle yazılmış. Yani kadına yönelik şiddet konusunu sistemden, yerleşik, feodal, erkek egemen ve militer sistemden bağımsız olarak düşünmek mümkün değil. Bu bir devlet politikası. Devlet politikası değişmediği sürece de bu mağduriyetler devam edecek.
Maybe the most difficult area to fight against impunity. No matter how positive legal changes you may achieve, as long as the implementers, prosecutors, and judges keep the old patriarchal mentality and look at the world behind those eyeglasses, it is difficult to expect justice from judiciary. And yet, we have nothing else to depend on but law. Age, 11 years old, was subjected to abuse by his own parents since birth, forced to beg in the street and beaten continuously. He left home one day and lived in the street, hungry and homeless for 10 days. Then he was found by his uncle, who filed complaints against the parents. H stated that his parents had not let him go to school after 3rd grade. instead forced him to sell tissue and water in the street. And in case he failed to bring money home, beat him up. Therefore, he did not want to go back home. The lawyer appointed by the Bar Association did not demand anything despite the child's statement. Child's situation was not reported to Turkish Social Service and Children Protection Institution, so he was delivered back to his parents. Following the complaint, the parents were sued. Code of Criminal Procedure appointed a new lawyer, and court decided the juvenile to be protected and supported, and he was placed to Children's Protection Institution and restarted the school. During legal proceedings, father died, so the court decided the discontinuance of the case. Juvenile's lawyer appealed for correction of the decision regarding the mother. However, all of the criminal complaints filed concerning the violation of juveniles remained inconclusive.
Onu korumakla yükümlü olan devlet, sosyal devlet, ne ailenin sosyoekonomik durumu nedeniyle aileye yönelik olarak yükümlülüklerini ne de bu çocuğun yaşadığı mağduriyet nedeniyle çocuğa karşı olan yükümlülüklerini, asli yükümlülüklerini yerine getirmemişti. Sadece devlet değil, öğretmeni, komşuları, akrabaları da şüphesiz çocuğun ne yaşadığını gördüler. Fakat onlar da sessiz kaldılar. Çünkü çocuklara karşı işlenen suçlarda ve bu suçların cezasız kalmasında karşımızda duran bir algı var. O da çocukların hak sahibi bireyler değil de yetişkinlerin üzerinde rahatlıkla istedikleri gibi tasarruf edebildikleri varlıklar olduğu, hakkın özneleri değil nesneleri olduğu ve velayetin özünde bir hak değil de yükümlülük olduğu bilincine yerleşememesi.
For little H's case, I have to repeat the same things I said for NC. All witnesses prefer to play the three monkeys with the same old excuse. Is it I to correct all these wrong? Result? Are we, as a chain, not responsible for the consequences? On 12 May 2013, in Reyhanlı, Hatay, an explosion killed 52 and injured 146. Following the incident, Public Prosecution Office of Reyhanlı demanded a media blackout. Still, the incident was reflected in the press and the reported news implied certain omissions. On 22nd May, Red Hack published the military correspondences between police, gendarmerie, and National Intelligence Service, which revealed that a pro-Al-Qaeda group in Syria had supplied a vehicle and placed a bomb setup in for an attack in Turkey. Despite the provided intelligence, Utku Kalı, who was doing his compulsory military service, then was blamed for everything. He was on duty at the time when the documents entered the system and was charged with providing or revealing the state secret documents. Kalı, in detention, was battered badly and insulted. Despite all pressure, he denied the accusations. Due to ill treatment under custody, he was taken to hospital 4 times. Following 107 days of imprisonment, he was released on the second hearing, 11 November 2013. Just before the hearing, Radak revealed new documents and sent a message. Have these documents been also sent by Utku while he was on trial and accompanied by police and gendarmerie? Besides, Military Prosecution Office of Sivas pressed a charge against Kalı, who allegedly had a nervous breakdown for insistent defiance of authority and resist the officer on duty. It was also demanded to press charges against him for insulting state's establishments. On the other hand, nothing new in the inquiry opened concerning the allegation that he was battered in custody.
Burada önemli olan şöyle bir durum var. Eğer Utku'nun yargılandığı mahkeme bu belgeleri gizli ve geçerli kabul ederse gerçekten bu patlamanın daha önceden bilindiği ve engellenmediği mahkeme kararıyla onaylanmış olacak.
Why no measure was taken although the explosion in Reyhanlı was already informed? Is this the question? Or who leaked this information to public? Is it not the confession of a great crime, that the investigation focuses on the second question instead of the first. On 7 October 2007, a newspaper, Bolu Express, published a column titled "Turkish Nation, Here is Your Enemy." In the column, columnist Işın Erşen, after telling about the struggle with PKK, gave people's names from Democratic Society Party, DTP, such as co-chairmen, members of Central Executive Board, MPs, and some mayors, and overtly demanded them to be killed. Turkish Nation, here is your enemy. PKK is a separatist terrorist organization, and the members are traitors. All these people will be aimed by civilian patriotic factors. From now on, for each soldier is martyred, one of those must suffer the same destiny. This is what large part of the society wants. Group Deputy Chairman of DTP, Selahattin Demirtaş, filed a criminal complaint to Public Prosecution Office at Bolu on November 24, 2007, and demanded Erşen to be sentenced for insulting via press, overtly provoking people to commit crime and not to obey law. Prosecution Office, following 6 months of legal proceeding, reached the verdict of non-prosecution on the grounds that no crime factor was found. Upon the court decision created huge reaction, Minister of Justice Mehmet Ali Şahin, claiming that the article could not be assessed as expression of thoughts, appealed to the Supreme Court. However, his objection was rejected. Demirtaş appealed to European Human Rights Court. Turkey is a country where people lived the bitter results of such hate speech and hate crimes. And it's not a long, long ago story. It's very near. Look, Hrant Dink's murder. Hrant Dink, chief editor of Agos Weekly, was killed after an armed attack in front of Agos office on 19 January 2007. Murderer Ogün Samast was caught 3 days later, and following that the instigators Yasin Hayal, Zeynel Abidin Yavuz, Ersin Yolcu, and Ahmet İskender were jailed. First hearing was on 2 July 2001, when 4 of the 12 suspects were released. The suspects were not interpreted as an organization, instead a group based on friendship. In the second hearing, on 1st October, the court found it to file a criminal complaint against Muhittin Zenit unnecessary. Zenit was the police officer who Erhan Yücel, convicted respondent, made telephone conversations with. In the same hearing, a document sent by police about Erhan Tuncel was destroyed for being state secret. In the hearing dated 10 May 2010, respondents Ersin Yolcu and Ahmet İskender were released. In the next hearing, dated 25 October 2010, on the grounds that Ogün Samast was not a major at the time he committed the crime, the court reached a decision of non-jurisdiction. Samast's case was separated from the main case and sent to Juvenile High Criminal Court. The Juvenile High Criminal Court, in the hearing dated 25 October 2011, sentenced Samast to heavy life imprisonment. However, since he was not a major at the time of commitment, his punishment decreased to 21 years and 6 months. The case was finalized on 17 March 2012. The court could not find the organization behind Dink's murder. Even hitmen were not found guilty for being part of an organization. The verdict remarked that the court had suspicion regarding an organization. However, they could not reach strong evidences and could not prove the existence. Yasin Hayal was sentenced to heavy life imprisonment for deliberate solicitation to murder, 3 months for threatening Orhan Pamuk, and 1 year imprisonment for possessing unregistered gun. Erhan Tuncel was acquitted of deliberate solicitation to murder, was sentenced to 2 years and 6 months imprisonment for bombing McDonald's, and released because the time he stayed in jail was sufficient. The verdict stating that the murder was not committed organizationally was taken by a court of appeal. Penal Department Number 9 of Supreme Court reversed the decision. High Criminal Court Number 14 reopened the case in the hearing dated 17 September 2013. The court issued an arrest warrant for Erhan Tuncer, who was jailed on 24 October 2013.
Şimdi bu davada arada 7 yıl geçmiş olmasına rağmen fail olarak dosyada önümüze konan tetikçi ve bunun işbirlikçileri dışında yargılanabilmiş tek kişi yoktur.
Despite a very intensive public opinion pressure, it is still the shooter and a few people around him who are tried. But the provokers who prepared the social environment suitable for Hrant's assassination made everything very open. We believe that they will have to pay for this crime sooner or later. On 9 July 1998, an explosion at Spice Bazaar in Istanbul killed 7 and injured 127. According to police reports, the explosion was because of a gas leakage. But all of a sudden, the official opinion was switched to that the explosion was a bombing. Sociologist Pınar Selek was caught as one of the suspects, tortured and kept in jail for 2.5 years. Abdülmecit Öztürk confessed that he placed a bomb with Pınar Selek, but in the hearing he said he did not know Selek and signed the initial statement after being tortured. First court decision was announced on 8 June 2006, and Selek was acquitted on the grounds that it was not clarified what caused the explosion. Penal Department Number 9 of Supreme Court reversed the judgment, and also Ministry of Internal Affairs sent an unsigned letter to the court stating that the explosion resulted from bombing, so case was reopened. A legal expertise board gathered by the court prepared a report and claimed that the explosion resulted from a bomb. Selek was acquitted twice, yet Penal Department Number 9 of Supreme Court reversed the judgment twice. Selek was acquitted for the third time. The prosecutor again objected the verdict. After 14 years of legal proceedings, in the hearing dated 24 January 2013, Selek's lawyers demanded the decision to be revoked. Yet their demand was refused, and the court sentenced Selek to heavy life imprisonment and demanded arrest warrant with red notice. Selek now lives abroad.
Peki nasıl bir bomba? Bombanın nasıl bir bomba olduğunu tarif edemiyorlar. Hatta şöyle bir gerekçe sunuyorlar. Olayda bombaya dair bir bulgu bulunmaması bu olayın bomba olmadığı anlamına gelmez.
Whatever one can say on Pınar Selek's case is useless, while the very first and simplest question remains unanswered. Bomb? What bomb? There is no bomb at all. Human Rights Advisory Committee, embodied by the Prime Minister's office within Copenhagen criteria, elected Professor Ibrahim Kabul as president. One of the subcommissions of the committee was Minority Rights and Cultural Rights Work Group, under the presidency of Professor Baskın Orhan. Despite some obstructs, a report prepared by this group was accepted by the committee. In the report, it was stated that Treaty of Lausanne should be enforced as required. Accordingly, the report suggested people of Turkey rather than Turkish people as a superordinate identity. The report receiving huge reactions, especially from nationalists, journalists, MPs, politicians, even government spokesmen reacted to the report's content hostilely. On the other hand, many organizations such as Human Rights Association and Human Rights Foundation of Turkey announced that they supported the content of the report. Some intellectuals signing the report filed a criminal complaint against themselves. Kabul and Orhan were accused with provoking people to hatred and hostility and insulting Turkishness. In the first hearing dated 15 February 2006, 50 observers, both from Turkey and abroad, and more than 30 lawyers were present. The case finalized on 10 of May 2006. The charges within Article 301, insulting Turkishness, were dropped, and the respondents were acquitted within Article 216, but not cleared of the blame. Upon that, they appealed to Supreme Court either to be acquitted or sentenced. Penal Department Number 8 of the Supreme Court reversed judgment of acquittal. The case was transferred to General Board of Criminal Department of Supreme Court, and the board approved the acquittal. While the legal proceedings are being carried out, Orhan and Kabolu were overtly insulted by numerous of columnists, former ministers, union leaders, and unionists, journalists, politicians. They received death threats and brought it to trial, but did not obtain a result.
İşte İnsan Hakları Danışma Kurulu'nun aslında bu 1 Ekim günlü toplantısı son toplantısı oldu. Çünkü örneğin hemen gündemde Şubat 2005'te yapılacak olan toplantıda kadın hakları raporunu görüşecektik. Ekonomik ve sosyal ve kültürel haklar raporunu görüşecektik. Ama artık hükümet toplantıya çağırmadı ve belki ilave olarak 14 Aralık 2004 günü Başbakanlık İnsan Hakları Başkanı Cumhuriyet Savcılığına suç duyurusunda bulundu hakkımızda ve süreçte başlamış oldu.
Bir zamanlar Kültür Bakanlığı yapmış olan Namık Kemal Zeybek, Halka ve Olaylara Tercüman Gazetesi'nde yazıyor. Kendilerine liberal aydın diyen karanlıkçılar, onlara özenenler, onların yardakçıları, size uydurma azınlıklarınızı alın gidin de Avrupa'nıza sokun. Yargıtay'ın onayladığı karar. Bu görüşlerin sert eleştirileri tabi tutulması olağandır.
The two professors were acquitted in the cases opened against them, but justice did not protect them against severe attacks containing very clear insults and threats. High courts rejected the cases they opened against those insults and threats with a very funny excuse. Since you published a report which caused hard public reactions, you must face the consequences. Is it difficult to explain this contradiction in a country where the Prime Minister cannot bear cartoons and open cases against drawers? No, the king is naked and judiciary is neither independent nor impartial. IFEX started campaigns in 5 countries on 5 different examples of impunity. Participants signed declarations protesting impunity to be sent to state officials on those countries. In Cambodia, women rights activist Yorum Bafa, who was sentenced to imprisonment for 2 years because of her active participation at peaceful demonstrations. In Nigeria, Romi Mom, who had to leave the country because of serious threats as a result of his hard struggle against corruption. In Egypt, cartoonist Doa El Adl, because of her drawings against the political misuse of religion. In Ecuador, journalist Martin Palares, who is subjected to death threats because of his reports against official corruption. And the 5th is lawyer Eren Keskin from Turkey.
Ben bugüne kadar 200'den fazla dava açıldı hakkımda. Şu anda da 18 tane dava var. Yani eski oranla tabii ki azaldı davalar ama esas olarak hep Kürdistan kavramından ceza aldım. Cezaevinde yattım. 1 yıl mesleğimden yasaklandım ama artık Kürdistan kavramını herkes kullanıyor, başbakan bile. Demek ki biz doğru yoldaymışız insan hakları savunucuları.
Lawyer Eren Keskin had over 200 cases against her, 36 of them continue. At the beginning, she was tried, also sentenced and imprisoned because she used the word Kurdistan, which Prime Minister Erdogan also uses now. At the end, I would like to say, let's meet here again on November 23rd next year. But I could not, because UN has changed the date for International Day to Impunity to November 2nd. Okay, let's meet here again on November 2nd, 2014, and hope that we cannot find anything to say. Hoping to live in a world where impunity will be recalled as a historical term only.